السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طلاب سنة تانية في مادة الكوربوريشن، وديت أول محاضرة في الأونلاين ليرنينج. وهناخد أول نقطة عندنا من الهاند أوتس بتاعة الكتاب الأسترالي اللي هي الشير ايشو كوستس and formation costs. What is meant by these two? It means that there are some expenses which are spent on forming a corporation. There are formation costs, foundation costs, and share issue expenses or share issue costs. And the question is, what about these expenses? How are we going to handle them? There are actually two opinions. One opinion says that these expenses have to be deducted or subtracted from capital account. And this treatment is unfortunately unwelcome. We don't welcome touching capital because of these share issue costs and formation costs. These expenses or these costs have to be expensed. They have to remain as expenses, and in the first year of the life of the company and on the first year an income statement is prepared, these expenses have to be closed out in the income summary of the company. Here, let us go and read what is written here in the handouts. Here they say, to ensure that public share issues are fully subscribed, a company may either into an underwriting agreement with a broker or a financial institution, and the contract with the underwriter is such that if any shares are not subscribed for by the public, the underwriter will either purchase them or arrange for others to subscribe to these shares or to this issue. The risk borne by the underwriter is paid for by the company in terms of underwriting commission. Actually, here the subtitle is share issue costs and formation costs. But here the authors started talking about underwriting expenses or underwriting commission. It doesn't matter. Here the appropriate treatment for underwriting and the other share issue costs is to record them as a reduction of the share capital being raised in order to record and report share capital of the amount of funds received. Unfortunately, I disagree to this opinion. These shouldn't be deducted from share capital. These have to be, as I told you, these have to be expensed. Whether they are underwriting expenses or share issue expenses or whatever foundation expenses, you have to pay. There are many governmental institutions that you have to go there to apply for forming a corporation, and there are expenses paid or there are amounts of money paid. These expenses, we call them in general as being formation costs. So these formation costs and these share issue costs or underwriting expenses, all these have to be, frankly, they have to be expensed, not according to my own opinion, but according to the opinion of many authors. If you read the handouts of Keisu, Wigandit, and Kimmel, you shall find out this opinion that I am mentioning now. They have to be expensed, not deducted, not reducing the share capital. Anyway, let us go for the accounting treatment for under subscription. When we have already covered over subscriptions, and we have seen what happens when there is an over subscription, and we spoke about the different possibilities: the refunding back, maybe the retaining under future installments, maybe some other treatments, some other alternatives. But in general, we have seen the offer subscription and how to handle the possibilities or the probabilities of handling the offer subscriptions. How to get rid of the offer subscribed amounts or offer subscription by the public. Now let us assume the other case, the other way around, the under subscription. Assume that we offered some number of shares to the public, but the public didn't subscribe in all of them. The public was not happy probably with the whole deal, with the whole issue, or with the whole offer to them, and they didn't subscribe in all shares offered, and so we have a shortage or a reduction in the subscription. This we call it under subscription. Under subscription, he says, it means that there is an actual application money, or the actual application money is less than the anticipated or expected application money. You offered some shares for application, you offered some shares for subscription, but unfortunately the subscription was less than what should be, less than the expectations of the first board of directors. And in this case, the company will go to underwrite underwriter company. I mean a company which main activity is to underwrite, is to cover the shortage of subscription of any other company. There are actually companies which are specialized in this activity. Yes, their activity is to cover whatever shortages the new companies are suffering from. And he says here, or the authors say, that the company will go to the underwriter company that will bring the money or funds for the shares under subscribed. This means that the underwriter will pay the money the company has failed to collect from the subscribers by commissions, or in return for a commission paid by the company. I mean the company has to sacrifice. It has to accept to be charged with a commission for the benefit of the underwriting company. The underwriting company will not work or will not cover your under subscription just free of charge. Surely they will expect you to pay to them a commission. This is their main source of income. The commission is a main source of income to the underwriting companies. So here, who is the underwriter? It is a company specialized in marketing and selling of securities. They sell on behalf of the company in return for a commission, which is considered underwriting expenses. It is quite clear. There is no doubt about the clarity of this description of what is meant by an underwriter. An underwriter is specialized in marketing and selling of securities on behalf of others, on behalf of other companies which are suffering from the underwriting, and this should be in return for a commission. Surely there must be a commission. Commission is the main source of income to the underwriting companies. Here we are assuming that we have 500,000 ordinary shares that were offered for subscription, and the application installment was £5, the allotment was £3, and the final call was £2. Actual applications were received on 400,000 ordinary shares, and the directors decided to underwrite the remaining 100,000 shares for underwriting a commission of £20,000. Is it clear now? Yes, we offered 500,000 for subscription, but subscribers subscribed only in 400,000 shares. The shares are collected in installments of £5, £3, and £2 respectively. This means that the the bar value per share is 10, the total of 5 plus 3 plus 2. But here we have 100,000. We are going to ask an underwriting company to market these shares in return for an underwriting commission of 20,000. This commission could be given to you in terms of money like this, or maybe a percentage. Yani a percentage of the 100,000 by 10 pounds, say by 0.5%, 1%, 1 per thousand, it doesn't matter. It could be, a percentage, yani, not necessarily 20,000 or 10,000, it doesn't matter, but it will be given to you how much is the commission or the underwriting commission should be. To go through the entries beforehand, here we are assuming that we received the cash, the application money, we debited cash trust account, and we credited share applications, and in this way we are recording applications for 400,000 shares. Then the cash account is transferred, the cash trust, is transferred to a cash account by crediting a cash trust and debiting a cash account. Then after that, we are transferring the applications to share capital by debiting share application, crediting share capital. Then we called up share allotment, so we debited share allotment and we credited share capital. Of course, for the amount of 400,000 shares multiplied by 3 pounds. By 3, not by 5. The application was 5 pounds per share, but the allotment is 3 pounds per share. Then we carry on. We collected the allotment, then we debited cash account and we credited share allotment. Then we called up the final call by debiting a final call and crediting share capital. We collected the final call by debiting cash and crediting the final call. But regarding the underwritten 100,000 ordinary shares, you can see that we are receiving cash 980,000, and we are debiting underwriting expenses or underwriting expense or underwriting cost, whatever you like. It doesn't matter. There is no great difference between these expressions. You can call it underwriting commission or underwriting expense, or you may call it underwriting cost. It doesn't matter. You have underwriting expenses debited with 20,000, the amount given to you in the parameters. Then you are crediting share capital for the 1 million. This 1 million is simply the 100,000 that were underwritten times 10 pounds. Times 10 pounds, yes, 10 pounds by 100,000 gives you 1 million. This 1 million, you sacrificed the 20,000 and you received from the underwriting company, you received 980,000 pounds. Notice or note that the underwriting company shall bring the money or the funds for 100,000 shares. The bar value per share is 10, so the total amount will be 1 million. Then the underwriting commission shall be deducted by the underwriter company at source. Yani they don't give you the 1 million and ask you to pay them 20,000. They deduct it at source immediately. They have already in their hands 1 million, so they don't give you the 1 million, they give you 980,000 and retain for themselves, or this company retains for itself, it retains 20,000 being the underwriting commission or underwriting expense. It is an expense for the company which has issued the shares originally or from the beginning, but it is an income to the underwriting company. The underwriting company shall record it as an income. This amount shall be a credit, a credit account in the books of the underwriting company. Notice here also that the underwriter company shall bring the money or funds for 100,000 shares, bar value is 10, the total is 1 million, then the underwriting commission shall be deducted by the underwriter at source. It is deducted at source, and the remainder is given to the issuing company, the original company which has issued the shares. Then we have here, what is this? I would say here, assume that the Jekyll company has decided to issue 1,000 new ordinary shares of 1,000 pounds each. Existing shareholders exercised their right up to 800,000, and the new investors subscribed for the remaining 200 shares at a premium of 100 pounds per share. And the question is that, what is this story? What is this? I would call it here a rights issue. The new subscribers, what is their subscription, or what is their contribution to the capital? Of course, we are offering here 1,000 shares to the old shareholders. Yani first of all, we ask all the shareholders to subscribe in any new issue. This is, we call it rights issue. Rights issue, it means an issue after the company has been already established, has been already exercising business, has already been financially strong, but it needs more finance. It needs more funds to carry out maybe expansions, maybe to carry out new projects, maybe to carry out increasing production, entering into new markets, whatever. But the conclusion is that you offered 1 million, and the existing shareholders, the old shareholders, they subscribed or they exercised their right up to 800,000 shares. Of course, the old shareholders have the right to buy the shares in the same par value of which was mentioned on the original foundation of the company. And now we are giving them this chance, this quite very good, I would say, offer to buy new shares at old prices, at an old price. But unfortunately, sometimes all the shareholders, they don't accept this offer. They don't like to take benefit of this very generous offer, and they say, no, we shall only have 800,000, and the other 200,000 we don't like to buy. We don't like to invest in these 200,000 shares. And therefore these 200,000, these 200,000 shares have to be made available to any general public, to any new investors, any new shareholders. But here the shareholders or the new shareholders, they have to make a sacrifice. They have to make a compensation for the old shareholders by being subject to what we call as issue premium. Issue premium means that the new shareholders have to pay something over and above the par value per share. You understand this? The new shareholder, having been coming after many years of business and of activity, of making profits, of making reserves, they are coming now to become shareholders. So they have to make a sacrifice. They have to pay for the old shareholders in the form of what we call as issue premium. Issue premium. You understand what is meant by issue premium? So this is a compensation for the old shareholders. It shall not be paid to them, but it shall be shown in the balance sheet as part of the equity or the owner's equity. Of course, issue premium, according to the Egyptian law, is transferred, whatever its amount is transferred to legal reserve. Legal reserve in Egypt must receive contributions from the net income per year. For every year there is a percent of contribution to the legal reserve. out of the net income, out of the net profits, until the legal reserve becomes 50% of paid up capital. But when you are making a rights issue and the old shareholders didn't subscribe, and you offered the shares to new shareholders, then this issue premium has to be transferred to legal reserve, even if the legal reserve has reached 50% of the capital. Yani this is the only exception in which legal reserve may exceed 50% of paid up capital. Remember this case. This is one of the conditions in the company law in Egypt. Okay? Let us have an example here, or let us go with this example. We offered 100,000 shares, and 800 are subscribed by the old shareholders, and so we debit cash account for 800,000 pounds, and we credit share capital for 800,000. This is to record issuing of 800 shares at 1,000 pound per share. So the total amount is 800,000 pounds. And so you can see that this amount is collected not in installments, but it is collected in one lump sum. Then, when receiving from the new shareholders, yes, we debit cash for 20,000, which is 200 shares. Yes, 200 shares by 1,000. Then we have 200,000 pounds. There is a zero, you see, that is falling down. It is 200,000, not 20,000. Yeah, I mean you debit cash for 220,000, and you credit share capital for 200,000, and you credit share premium for 20,000. From where this 20,000 of share premium has come? It is simply the number of shares that are bought by the new shareholders, which is 200, and everyone is charged with a 100 pound issue premium. Okay, so we shall debit cash account for 220, you credit share capital for 200,000, and you credit share premium for 20,000. Okay, let us go and see the issue premium that we have seen as a credit. It is in 20,000, it is debited, and the legal reserve account is credited. I'm repeating again, even if legal reserve has reached its maximum, which is 50% of paid up capital. Then we have another story also that comes up after a company has been established. Look at this, what we call as private. So we have now rights issue, and we finished with rights issue, and we must remember that there is a possibility of new shareholders taking a chance or gaining a chance of buying some shares that the old shareholders have abstained to subscribe in, that the old shareholders have abstained to buy them. And as a result, there is an issue premium, and the issue premium is transferred, as I mentioned, to legal reserve accounts. We come to something that we call it private placements. This is one of the possibilities that a company may encounter after it has been established. It is looking for finance. It has asked the old shareholder to subscribe, or to buy the new shares, the new issue. It is a rights issue. I tell to them, you have the right to buy these new shares. You have a chance of buying these new shares, just increasing your investment in the company by buying the new shares. If they didn't buy, we offer to the public, okay? But not in installments, just in one lump sum, okay? Let us go to private placements. Private placements is also an alternative in which a company may go and seek finance from from an institution, not from persons, not from individuals, not from people like you and me. They look to issue shares to an institution, to a bank, to a large company, a large insurance company, a large saving fund, a large maybe mutual fund. I mean, any financing body, anybody which is experienced or which is specialized in financing companies, you ask them to buy shares. You don't go to the public. You don't approach the individuals. You approach a company or a bank, as I said, or a life insurance company, or whatever other financing body. This we call it private placement. Why we call it private? Because you go privately to a specific institution and you ask them to buy. You go to a specific or a private or a specific bank, and privately you ask the bank to buy the shares, not to the public. You don't go to the public. You don't declare this to the public. The public has no right to subscribe. They have no right to buy these shares. So here you have an example. If 500 ordinary shares at 500 pounds each, I mean the par value is 500, these were subscribed by a life insurance company. So in one lump sum you shall say you debit cash and you credit share capital ordinary. 500 by 500 you have 250,000. You debit cash and you credit share capital ordinary. There is no problem here at all, except that you are approaching, you are asking a private institution to buy the shares in one lump sum. Then we have something else as well. After a company has been established, after it has been financially strong, something that we call it bonus shares. Bonus shares, we can translate as أسهم المنحة, or some people they call it أسهم إنعام. The company is making amenity or making a benefit to the existing shareholders by giving them free of charge shares. Free of charge, we don't ask them to pay. In the rights issue we ask them to pay. In the private placement we ask an institution to pay. But in the bonus shares we offer the shares free of charge to existing shareholders, proportionately or pro rata. If we are going to offer, say, whatever number of shares, if we divide this by the total number already existing, we shall come to a ratio or a percentage. This percentage we apply to every shareholder. If the percentage is 5%, then we say for every shareholder you shall have bonus shares of 5% of your existing or your already I would say ownership or holdings of shares. You are holding, say, 100, then you shall have 5% of the 100. If you are holding 1,000 shares, then you shall have 5% of the 1,000 shares. If you are holding 30,000 shares, then you shall have 5% of the 30,000 shares. So this we call it bonus shares. We are giving them a bonus which is free of charge. We don't ask them to pay. But the question is how to raise or how to increase capital, how to issue shares, how to issue bonus shares while as you are not receiving any money. You are not receiving any cash. You are not receiving any genuine funds. Oh yes, so easy and so simple. Just to go and look to the financial position of the company. You shall find out that there are many reserves which are having or carrying credit balances which may be very huge, very large, and therefore reduce these credit balances in the balance sheet and issue new shares pro rata everyone has to take in proportion to his already or his existing holdings of shares, and in this way you are reducing the reserves, you are reducing retained earnings, and increasing paid up capital. You are increasing capital and reducing these reserves, which are simply they are part of the equity of the company. But the difference between the situation before the bonus shares and after the issue of the bonus shares is that after the issue of the bonus shares, the shareholders' holdings have increased. They have been increased, say, by 5% or 10% or 20% or whatever, according to the case. So this means that the dividends for the shareholders shall be increased. In case of in case of liquidation, also their share in the liquidation of the company shall increase. And this all makes a benefit. It is really a benefit to the shareholders when we offer them bonus shares. Let us go to see the explanation here. These are shares issued to existing shareholders, to all the shareholders, and the employees. Sometimes you issue bonus shares to employees, free of charge. That is to say, at no cost to the beneficiaries. المنتفعين shall not be charged with any expense or any cost. They shall not, I'm afraid they shall not pay for these bonus shares. Here, and you are assuming as an example that the equity in Hyenas Corporation as at 31st of December 2015, assume that it was as follows. Here you have paid up capital, 400,000 shares, ordinary shares at £20 each. Then you have general reserve 2 million, capital reserve 3 million, and you have retained earnings 1 million. Total equity, add up paid up capital plus all the reserves, you shall find that they are almost 14 million pounds. So that the directors decided to offer 250,000 bonus shares to shareholders as follows. They decided to issue new shares. Their total is 250,000. They already have 400,000. They wish to issue 250,000 and to distribute to some people here. It was mentioned to you. Okay? And here this is the decision of the board. Here we have capital reserve 300, which is equal to 150,000 shares by 20, because the bar value is 20. General reserve being 1 million, which is equal to 50,000 shares by 20. So how much you have so far? 150 plus 50, you have 200. And you decided to issue 250. So you need another 50 that you shall take from retained earnings. So retained earnings, it is 1 million there. This 1 million shall be surely reduced. Retained earnings 1 million, which is equal to 50,000 shares by 20. Retained earnings shall be reduced, capital reserve shall be reduced, and general reserve shall be reduced. Let us go and see the notes given to us. Here we have first we deduct from the capital reserve until it has been finished, when we shall go to general reserve and retained earnings. First of all, we shall deduct the whole balance of the capital reserve. How much is capital reserve here? It is 150,000. So we shall take the 150 in full. Okay? And the second decision is the proportion of allocating 250,000 shares to existing shareholders. It is 250,000 equaling 250,000 shares divided by 400,000 shares. Then this one is times 100. This equals 62.5%. So every shareholder shall own a number of shares when his share at bonus shares. So what is this sentence? So every shareholder who owns a number of shares, then his share of bonus shares shall be current. It shall be current shareholder owned or current holding of shares multiplied by 62.5%. Okay, because this is the ratio. The ratio of the new issue to the existing shares. The new issue is 250,000. The existing shares are 400,000. So 250 by 100,000 multiplied by 100, this gives a ratio of 62. So this man, or this case, in this case, I would say here, for every shareholder, he will have 62.5% of his current holdings. So if a shareholder, if any man owns 50,000 shares, then the bonus shares to him shall be 50,000 by 62.5. This shall be 1,250 shares. The maximum, which is the maximum. So the entry of this example will be as follows. Here we shall have capital reserve debited with 300,000, general reserve with 1 million, retained earnings with 1 million, and the total of them is credited to share capital ordinary 5 million. I mean that you have taken capital reserve entirely, and the legal reserve you have subtracted 1 million, and retained earnings you have subtracted 1 million. So to record this issue, we say to record the issuing of 250,000 shares at 20 pound each. And here the equity okay, and here the equity component shall be as follows. In the balance sheet, we have paid up capital. It will be 650,000 ordinary shares by 20. From where did we get the 650,000 shares? It was the original 400,000 plus 250,000, which is the new share issue or the new bonus shares issued. So the total is 650,000 by 20, and we have general reserve. There is a remaining of 1 million. It was 2. We have taken 1, and so there is a remainder of 1. All capital reserve was taken, and the retained earnings were also taken. Yes, they were taken in full because it was 1 million, and we debited the 1 million in the above entry. And so in this way, you have paid up capital. Now it is 1,300,000, general reserve 1 million, and the total equity is 1,400,000. Yes, 1,400,000. This is 1,300,000, and here 1 million, and the total is 1,400,000. I would like you to check these figures, please. Please try to check these figures, because if you add up 1,300,000 plus 1 million plus 1, it must be 2,300,000, not 1,400,000. I don't know. Please check out with reference to your reference to the book itself. I'm sorry I didn't have the chance to check out these figures as they were printed by one of the college staff in the college So I'm sorry for that, because here 1,300,000 plus 1 million, it makes 2,300,000. It is not. And here if you look at share capital is only 5 million, and it was before something like that, really. So all these have to be checked out. Just check out the totals of the share capital, the bid-up capital, and the total of the because here share capital it has been increased by 5 million, and now they are saying that bid-up capital is it must be 13 million actually. 13 million plus 1 million, they're making 14 million. But this 103,000 shares, this is pounds. This is not perfect. The calculation is not perfect. This should be 13 million, not 1,300,000. The share capital, the new share capital should be 13 million plus 1 million being general reserve, making 14 million, not 1,400,000. These are printing errors or printing mistakes, unfortunately. Then we finally have another point, a very small point, which is actually, we don't apply here in Egypt. We don't follow this. But this is something that we call it share options. And share options simply means that a company may offer to the individuals the chance or the opportunity to buy options and to pay a small amount when accepting this option, so that in the future the company may issue shares to them and ask them to make benefit of the options sold to them. If they didn't make use of these options are transferred to an account. We call it lapsed options reserve. Lapsed options reserve. It is a reserve of the options which were lost. They were lost because the owners of the options didn't exercise their rights to have or to buy the shares. You can read the example, please, from this lecture or from the handouts. They are very simple and they are not very important at the same time. Thank you very much. See you later.